Japanese traditional monsters, the yokai, can be extremely dangerous. But did you know a lot of them are not dangerous at all? This group is both harmless and, let's face it, completely silly. Today we'll talk about this special class of yokai. And perhaps, just before we're done, mention possibly the silliest one of all. Let's start with the Tofu Kozo. The name translates as tofu boy. As his name suggests, this little monster appears as a young boy selling tofu. It's only when you look closer you realize it isn't human. It is neither a boy nor young. Odds are the creature has been around for a long time. Naturally, anyone meeting him would be startled. This is the reaction he's looking for. Freaking the humans out is this class of yokai's favorite thing to do. Can he hurt you? Well, other than startling you, no. Just don't eat the tofu. It's likely as old as the Tofu Kozo. Next up is the Hito Kozo, which translates as one-eyed boy, which is what he appears to be. This one is sometimes confused with the Tofu Kozo for obvious reasons. But this one isn't selling anything, he's just going for the freak out. His appearance as a monster is a little more obvious because of the eye thing. Again, not really a threat unless you have a weak heart, and again, not really its intent. Though if something unfortunate along that line were to happen, the Hito Kozo would probably think it was hilarious. The yokai have an odd sense of humor. Also, if it fails to startle you, and perhaps even if it does, the Hito Kozo is known to make insulting remarks. If it can't startle, it will irritate. Another mostly harmless but silly and irritating monster is the Hikushi Baba. Her name means fire-extinguishing hag, which seems a bit rude, but considering her sole interest is in blowing out lanterns, whether the owner wanted them out or not, she might have deserved it. She first appeared in a work published by the Edo period artist Toriyama Shikian, who not only drew a lot of yokai but probably invented more than a few. She's most likely one of his. Though it does make one wonder. At the time she was created, most lanterns used candle or lamp flames. Now they're electric and can't be turned off that way. Did she ever make the switch to switches? While we're on the subject of yokai who play with fire, let's have a mention of the Kijimuna, and the name means either forest imps or tree spirit, depending on who you ask. These are fairy-like yokai from the island of Okinawa who live in forests and rocky areas. Like Western fairies, they're fond of dancing and tricking humans. They also have an interest in fire, but unlike the Hikushi Baba, they don't blow fire out. Instead, they steal it from the lanterns and run away, laughing. Since they are sometimes seen walking alone on deserted beaches accompanied by wisps of flame, maybe that's what they do with the fire once they have it. The next three yokai need to be treated as a group: the Jinminju, the Jinminkin, and the Jinmingyo. What they have in common is why we're grouping them together. Jinmin just means human-faced, and the end word means tree, dog, and fish respectively. That's right, trees, dogs, and fish with human faces. Really, it's a human face appearing anywhere it doesn't belong. That's it. That's what they are. You're taking a stroll in the park and look at a tree and realize the tree is looking back at you, possibly even saying hello. Same with the dog and the fish. Weird, yes. Startling, yes. Dangerous? Not even a little. Though you must admit one thing. They will get your attention. Why do they do it? As above, probably just to get a reaction. It's enough to make one speculate that they might feed on emotional responses. Either that, or they just think it's funny. Since we'll likely never know, it's probably best not to overthink it. Now let's talk about the Isukirai. This is a weird one, and I say that well aware of the oddity of all the yokai we've discussed before now. Azuki is a type of red bean often used in making traditional Japanese sweets. Isukirai refers to Azuki bean washing, or the one who does the washing. In the latter case, it's a little wizened yokai who appears at the edge of a stream with a basket of Azuki beans, who, and you guessed it, is washing those beans. The Isukirai can be male or female, and as it washes its beans, it sings a little song, the words to which are, "Shall I wash my Azuki beans? Or shall I snatch a person to eat? Shoki shoki." Shoki shoki is intended to mimic the sound of beans being washed. While the Isukirai talks a good game, the song is a complete bluff. The creature is extremely shy and cowardly, and if approached, will simply disappear. Like with most of the above yokai, the Isukirai could give you a shock, but is otherwise harmless, if extremely silly. Before we leave the Isukirai, I probably should mention his close cousin, a yokai called the Nozuki Baba. It always appears as an old woman who also washes beans. The main difference is the Nozuki Baba is not harmless. If it sings that little song, it is definitely not bluffing. It will eat you. For that reason alone, the Isukirai and anything that resembles it is probably best avoided. Why take the chance? The Nozuki Buu doesn't go for the freak out. It is the ghostly image of a Buddhist priest, or sometimes rarely a child, and all it does is give you the eerie feeling of being watched. Which, to be fair, you are. The Nozuki Buu is watching you. Eerie and creepy? Sure, but also not really dangerous. Just leave the area and this nosy Nelly of a yokai will latch onto someone else. The next monster I want to talk about is the Baku. In some traditions, the Baku is considered a demon rather than a yokai. That said, the lines are rather blurry where this creature is concerned. The Baku resembles a tapir, but it also has the legs of a tiger and the tusks of an elephant. Despite its fearsome appearance, the Baku is not dangerous. Actually, it's far better than merely not dangerous. Nor is the Baku at all silly. I'm only including it here because it too is harmless, but more because it is one of my favorite yokai of all. The reason for that should be obvious when you learn what it does. The Baku eats bad dreams, not to mention any bad luck or depression or anxiety which may have come with them. Poof. Gone. Say goodbye to your nightmares when a Baku is on the job. It was a tradition to keep a little statue of the Baku near your bed to frighten the bad dreams away. Sounds like a very good idea. The Kaguya, or Shadow Woman. She's exactly what her name implies, a shadow in the shape of a woman. It appears on the other side of a paper sliding door in a traditional Japanese-style house, which makes people think there is someone on the other side of the door. So they open the door. No one there. As pranks go, that one's probably more annoying than unsettling, like a kid who rings the doorbell and runs away. Then there is the akaneme. No one's exactly sure what this one looks like. It has been described as being something between an infant and a frog. One thing the accounts do agree on is the akaneme has an incredibly long tongue. The sight of it would be startling enough, except, unlike almost every other yokai mentioned here, it doesn't care if you see it or not. It doesn't care if you're startled or not. Apparently, it doesn't care about you at all. All it cares about is trying to clean up an untidy bathroom. It uses its incredibly long tongue to lick up the soap scum and grime from any bathroom in need of a good scrubbing. That's what it likes to eat. Which, let's face it, is more than a little gross, but also extremely useful. Not to mention very, very silly.